The following audio may contain coarse language and other material that may not be suitable for a younger audience. Viewer discretion is advised. Also, we may spoil anything and everything, so you have been warned. Three, two, one. That was the most solid clap we've ever had.
Actually, it is.
That was super solid. All right.
I feel like Jack's gonna do mathematically figure out how delayed everybody's clap is, and then be like, "You clap when I say one, and you clap when I say two."
I mean, I know who the offenders are because, like, I straighten out the audio. Like, I find interactions between two people and look at them and try to get like the tested feedback, and then I figure it out in post, like how much the feedback is between when Sean and Peter are talking to each other. So then I'm like, oh, and then I go back and look where the claps were, and I can see who was where, and I'm like, wow, Peter is always last.
I'm on CP time, guys, you know.
Universally, Peter is like 30 seconds after everyone else.
Oh, that is hilarious. I
don't even know how you do it. There's not 30 seconds in the clap. The clap takes like 10 seconds, but it's still like always like a minute behind.
I should just clap when you say three.
Just don't start gaming me like that, man. It's just going to get worse. All right. Starting up in 3, 2, 1, and welcome to the Movie Gang Podcast, the greatest podcast on the internet. That's objective. Take it from me. I'm your host, Jack Newman. Today we have, with our rotating cast, we have a pretty full group. First up, we have Sean.
Hey y'all, how's it going?
And after that, we have Trevor.
Hi.
Sarah.
Hi, guys.
Bobbye.
Hey, everyone.
And last but not least, well, it depends if you look at our chat or not, Ben.
Hey everybody, I'm here instead of hanging out with my girlfriend who's in town, so it shows you where my priorities are.
I'm not salty about that conversation at all, Ben.
At all.
The salt will flow.
I just want you to know how important I am.
Today we will be looking at.
Oh, I just
You didn't introduce Peter, you racist.
Wow.
Fuck you.
Of course.
We need. Luckily, I'm not homophobic because I did at least introduce Sarah. So go, Peter. Go.
What's up, everybody? Also, introduce yourself because we talked about this last time. You never
I
introduced
said
yourself.
I'm the host, Jack Newman. I did it that time.
Okay, just making sure.
I appreciate that. I love you.
Love you too.
Mwah. Okay. Today we're talking about the pile of meh that is the Jungle Book.
Oh,
Bro.
fine.
So, for the positive view, up first, we have Trevor, who I picked out of the blue.
You're going to go to me first?
Yeah, you're going to be positive about Jungle Book, right?
I'm going to be positive? Yeah, I'll be positive. I think you could say...
If I must.
I think you could make the argument that it was a better adaptation of the original Rudyard Kipling book than the animated one from '67.
Absolutely.
Well, it's also like a whole lot less racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just... We get
I guess
slightly
we get
less
more into
racist
that
with
later.
Kipling's
I'm not
going.
sure to what specifically you're referring, but...
Well, I mean, mostly the Louis song, which I have to realize, you know, Rudyard Kipling did write The White Man's Burden, so
Yeah.
off the bat, like, there might be connotations there that we might have to deal with.
I think that's a more factor of the change in time since '67 to 2016. I think there's a couple things that have happened since then. So hopefully it's a less racist movie today.
Yeah,
I mean, I walked away from it pretty meh, too, honestly. But
All right, who's positive? Give me somebody, like, I know.
I'll
who
talk
wants to
about
go
it
positive.
positively.
Go, Sean.
All right. I thought
You're
it
a
was,
failure, Trevor.
Overall, it was a good story. It was a more cohesive story than the animated original, and it actually had a plot, which was nice, rather than Mowgli just kind of getting into these different interactions where he almost dies and like some songs sprinkled throughout to make it lighter. So I liked that. I thought the voice acting was really well done. I thought Idris Elba in particular did a really menacing Shere Khan. and really kind of scared the crap out of all the kids in the movie theater, which was a plus. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing about it. But,
No, it was a good thing. I definitely had some screams. Like I guess some screams from like little 5 and 4-year-olds when I was watching it yesterday. It was great. I was like, that's right. That's a tiger, guys.
yeah, so I thought it was cool because, like, for the most part, he's kind of played, good guys in the movies. Mostly, I'm thinking about his role in Iron Man. But no, it was kind of good to see like a darker side to him, and of course Ben Kingsley did a wonderful Bagheera. Really, like, I think my only kind of issue with the film is that it was just a lot more dark than it was advertised, because it was appealing to a younger audience, and then you kind of go in and it's just like this kind of bleak, really bleak film, and not at all what I was expecting.
It ends really positively. I mean, I feel like it is marketed. It is for children, but at the same time, like the tiger just kind of grabs their dad and throws him off a cliff. Like,
I did have to laugh
no
that the
big deal.
movie literally ends with the line, "I could get used to this," which is like the most. I like this movie a lot, but that is the most cliched ending I could possibly think of.
Yeah.
Especially after like you've murdered a tiger in fire. That's pretty intense.
And destroyed
Well, I mean,
like
that's the
half
thing
the
is
damn jungle, yeah.
Yeah,
were
they
way
really
less-
glossed over that.
they were
Yeah,
like
that
more.
that narratively kind of fell apart at the end, but we'll get there.
I mean, yeah, but they were way more overt about the thing, because like even in the jungle, I mean, I think to take the negative viewpoint, the Jungle Book is a pile of meh for me, and I don't mean that there's nothing. It's a perfect Rotten Tomatoes versus an actual score movie, because I mean, this is the reason scores should exist, because if you do it just on positive, should you go see it? Yes, it's a great movie. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It is well executed. The technology is way better than the technology we saw last week. It's compelling.
Well,
it's a good
that's fair,
story,
yeah.
and it's an improvement. I think it's actually an improvement upon the original source material. But at the same time, like, I did not find it very compelling. I think my problem is I was just in it and I was like, yeah, I saw a movie. I can't tell you necessarily what the fuck happened, because the Jungle Book is just a conglomeration of things that randomly happened to Mowgli, and they're tied together very loosely. And that's the problem with the original.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you all, I don't doubt this. Like, before you saw the Jungle Book, like, if I had asked you what was the plot series, like, what is the order of events that happened in the Jungle Book, you could probably tell me a couple of events, but you could not have put them in order. Like, everyone here can put Mulan, The Little Mermaid, The Lion King in order of events, because those stories are really compelling, and that's the problem. Is the Jungle Book is just a pile of things that happened to Mowgli, and
so kind of in defense
whatever.
of that is. I think that's more of a problem with the source material, because if you look at the original Kipling
Oh,
book,
yeah, exactly.
it's just like they're short. It's a compilation of short stories, and I think what Disney was trying to do is they try to compile them all into some sort of a narrative. But again, when you're dealing with just a bunch of short stories, it's really hard to make an actual story out of it, right? That's one kind of thing.
But I think that's where Disney really failed here, is that the movie watches like a series of vignettes as opposed to actually watching like a movie. I mean, the entire point is, if you're going to do a live action version of a classic Disney tale, then you need to make it all marry together. And this one, it doesn't. I mean, why the hell would they still include the old songs from the original if they weren't going to make them organically fit into the piece? It just comes out of nowhere, and frankly, it's awkward. Watching Christopher Walken sing the damn, I Want to Be Like You was uncomfortable for me. It didn't fit the rest of the film. It didn't fit that moment. It just felt inappropriate.
Also,
I agree. I have no idea why they chose to do that.
Yeah, the song made it definitely feel really weird and feel very much like, hey, it's like the movie, and we picked the only 2 songs you remember from the original movie.
I feel like the only reason they did it is because people would have been mad if they didn't, but they didn't execute it properly.
But they had them really well done in the credit sequence, and I thought that was an appropriate time.
that was
Yeah,
great.
Christopher Walken and Bill
Way
Murray
better.
brought it, and I was like, damn.
Way better.
Also, here's a big thing that really bothered me, is because like they excluded like the word fire, so they don't have the word fire.
Yeah.
They have the red flower through the whole movie, and then like in the song, Louis says fire. He's like,
I know,
I got a
in the
fire
credits,
within me,
right?
and I was like, that does not make any sense.
Yeah.
Like this little fact that like really drove me nuts for the rest of the movie.
I think the voice acting in general I thought was very over the place. I really like Idris Elba. I know some people don't like Scarlett Johansson, but I really liked her Ka. I think was one of the best sequences
I liked
in the
it,
movie.
yeah.
I
really,
didn't.
really enjoyed it. I liked her a lot, and I thought she was really intimidating and
Man,
scary.
that was a
but
fucking
came and went
flashback
really fast.
sequence. They made Ka into a flashback sequence, and she's there for like 5 minutes. I
No,
mean,
that's the problem, is that she's so come and go so fast.
Oh, yeah.
But
Which goes back to Bobby's point that like it was just a bunch of vignettes put together that like she
definitely.
was there
but
and
I
gone.
think I liked her and I liked Idris Elba, but I think Christopher Walken and I think a couple other people, a couple just the random voice actors who like aren't really names, I just think really didn't work. And it definitely kind of had Babe syndrome, where I could really feel the voice actors in the room a lot of times versus actually feeling like the characters. I think a few did, but a lot of them didn't to me.
Christopher Walken
bothered-
was a very bizarre King Louis to me. He was just like this, like
He was like
this
doing
giant,
like a
he's a giant.
they were doing like a Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse
So-
Now reference. It was like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? This is very bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't blame him for Louis. Like, it missed the thing, but that was the big, because that's the whole minstrel portion and the reference to like all the monkeys being black people, which was
Minstrel,
really uncomfortable.
vaudeville.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is the really uncomfortable bit in the original Jungle Book, the animated version. And so, like, I get why they picked Walken. I get why they do that. The whole piece doesn't make as much sense because it's like looking at the 10 Little Indians. It's still racist, but at least you're not sending the 10 little N-words anymore.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
At least we all agree it's in them and there was none now. Like, that's the title we all go with.
I guess I was less impressed by most of the voice acting. I thought Christopher Walken did a pretty good job with what he was handed. I really was not that impressed with Scarlett Johansson. She did well when it was literally a flashback scene. I thought her voiceover sounded good then, but when you pair her voice with the animation that they did for Ka, makes no fucking sense. The two of them do not mesh together. It didn't sound like her voice was coming out of that animated creature. It completely lost me in that moment, and I really did not like the voice acting for Bagheera.
Also, when
I
she
thought
was,
he was a
when she was
negative
talking
asshole
to the
the whole
snake,
time.
like, it
But
was like a
that's-
little bit of
that's
like a
who-
fear
that's
boner.
who Bagheera is. He is a kind of a negative asshole.
No, Bagheera is the voice of reason. That's his character in the animated films. He's the one who just is like, Mowgli, you got to go back to your people. You can't be here. He is just the voice of reason to carry the narration along.
Which,
in this
again, they
film, he
pushed-
was just a douche.
Well,
Wait,
no,
so
I
then,
think the issue.
so then is that more a problem with you, like with the voice acting, or is that more of just like how the character was written?
It was the voice acting because it came off very condescending and very negative. There was none of that sweetness, none of that like paternal caring that Bagheera is really
Oh,
supposed
yeah,
to
like-
bring to the character. It didn't feel warm. It didn't feel like it came out of a place of love. It felt like lecturing the whole time.
Well, I think that's
Yeah, I
the
feel that.
difference is that they push this in the different direction. In the original Jungle Book, like, Mowgli goes to the fucking village. Like, that's the
Yeah,
difference.
Yeah.
we
It's
changed
like
the ending.
No. Well, they changed the ending, and thus, like, Bagheera has to be wrong. Where in the original movie, he's right, and so it feels paternal. Bagheera was, like, the whole point of the movie is Bagheera's trying to get him somewhere where he knows he'll become a man and, like, will possibly hurt him, but, like, he loves him too much. Like, there's that whole back and forth between this complicated relationship where if he loves this child, even though that he could grow up to do bad things to him. Whereas in here, it's absent, and he's just like, I'm just random. He feels like almost like just like a disinterested, like, foster care parent.
Yeah. Well, I think the big problem is they changed Baloo from more of a Falstaffian kind of just fun-loving, be yourself, enjoyable person to being sort of a father figure
Exactly.
towards the end and being like a my two dads situation towards the middle there.
It's like your uncle that's a con artist. Sorry.
I have an unpopular opinion about Baloo. I didn't like him in this new movie.
I didn't like Bill Murray's voice at all.
I
in
mean,
this.
Sarah,
I love Bill
did you-
Murray.
did you
I
prefer the
love Bill
old
Murray, but I
Lou? Like-
hated his voice in this.
Oh, that was the highlight for it for me. I think.
Yeah, I have to disagree with that, Ben. I mean,
I
Bill
thought
Murray.
he was
the only character I
so
liked.
boring. Yeah, I thought he was so boring. I thought he
didn't
was
you like
so.
I don't know.
Bill Murray.
I think I
I think
have
this
the
movie
same
was
problem with Baloo as Bobbye has with Bagheera. Kind of like in the original movie, he was just, as you said, a fun-loving, laid-back guy who just, finds Mowgli and is like, okay, yeah, let's be buddies. Oh, you don't want to leave the jungle? That's cool. Yeah, let's hang out and, eat pawpaw fruits, whatever. But in this one, he's very clearly manipulating Mowgli into, like, helping him get honey and stuff. And, to be fair, that's probably a more realistic viewpoint of how
Lost
that
you,
sort
Sarah.
of
You may have to
character
make
would work.
No
And I
worries.
never read the original work. I don't know if that's how it works or not. But I don't know. I guess it does work with the whole feel of the film, and just in that it's a lot darker. But I miss the original, Phil Harris Baloo.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Same.
So I'll
I
kind of
mean-
I kind of agree with that, Sarah, in this sense. I think the biggest issue with Baloo is that he starts off as kind of like this oafish character, which is like kind of typical Baloo, right? He's like, oh, I'm gonna con you into giving me honey because I just want to eat all the honey. But my real issue with him is this. There's this point where Bagheera is trying to convince him that it's going to be in Mowgli's best interest to go back to the town, and Baloo just buys into that without you don't really see that interaction between their two characters, and then the way he like kind of delivers that to Mowgli is just very cold, where he's like, no, I don't want to be your friend anymore, like I've kind of used you can leave now. And it didn't really make it look like a really difficult moral choice for Baloo, so I think that was the reason I didn't really relate to him much as a character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't really relate to anyone much as a character. And I mean, I think we're heading in a really negative direction. Like, I feel like there's a lot good here. It's just like it's well made, it's well put together. It's Jon Favreau, and like the jokes are hitting, the points are hitting. It's just the whole thing feels like off, like by like 2 degrees, and I'm having a really hard time like telling people like why I dislike this movie, because there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't
I
like
think
it.
it's a
There's
similar
nothing
thing at a lot
wrong
of,
with the film, but my issue with it is it's supposed to be a children's movie, and we've added in all these absolutely incredible CGI animals, and everything looks fantastic, but there's no warmth to the film. It doesn't give you that. There's lots of great Disney films out there that do make you feel something, even a little something. And this one didn't make me feel anything. And that's kind of where children's movies really win, is they bring in all the warm fuzzies. There were so many moments that just took me so far out of the film. I mean, why did we add in all these new random jungle characters in there, like the little, like armadillo-looking one? I mean, they looked like the little characters at the end. Yeah, and like in Elf, where they're like, "Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad," and like they serve no other purpose except to be like a bit.
And now, one of those newer characters I did like. I think it was the porcupine. It was someone's last movie. Ben, do you remember the guy?
That's Gary Shandling's last movie. That made me
Yeah.
really sad. I forgot he was in this.
I think he was one of the best additions they did.
He was adorable.
Yeah,
the
I, like
I
his
agree
project,
with Bobbye.
actually.
I think.
All right,
I think
everyone, calm down. Ben, go.
I have a sort of similar thing where I didn't feel this with Force Awakens. I felt an emotional connection to it. Maybe not as much as the other films, but I know a lot of people had a similar feeling with Force Awakens, and I kind of feel this with 2, which is like the Disney model lately, which is very pretty. It's very tightly constructed. It doesn't feel like it ever misses a beat, but there is just something kind of soulless about it. And I disagree with that with Force Awakens, but I can kind of see now when I see this where people are coming from with Force Awakens. It's like it does all the things that I see older classic Disney films doing, but it doesn't kind of have that same raw authenticity as the original Disney films. Not even the original Jungle Book, like the better ones, like Pinocchio or something like that.
It's somebody that knows the functions of these movies and understands like what made them good at the same time, but in the process of recreation, there's an element there that's like missing from the thing. And I think that's the thing is like it's a translation of a translation, and in that process like we've lost whatever the fuck was the original purpose and meaning.
I just want to address this real quick because I feel like it was the epitome of that. Is why did we have to watch Jon Favreau introduce the movie right before we watched it?
That was weird.
Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
That was weird.
Okay. I'm glad I wasn't the only one who got that. I thought that was just AMC for some reason. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I did not understand what the purpose of that was.
That was very weird.
They should have known when people don't like Quentin Tarantino get away with that shit, like no one else should try it.
I didn't like how the credits rolled, and don't jump on me for a second, because I really liked the credits. Don't get me wrong. I liked the whole animation in the book. I liked the flipping of the pages. I liked how it all ended with the book closing. I thought that was really nice. But it didn't make sense with the film that they created. There was no tie-in from the beginning. There was no build-up in the middle. There was no reason to suddenly make it a cute animated Disney movie when this whole thing has been a dark live action the whole time. I was really annoyed by that, because that was the feel they should have gone for from the entire movie. The credits were fantastic. The music was great. It had the right kind of feel, but it didn't exist in the film itself.
I thought that was
I
just
honestly
incredibly
would have liked it if it
inconsistent,
was
too.
more vignette-y, honestly. I think I would have liked it even more if it was just here's Mowgli in the jungle with a day in his life, sort of thing, even if it was doing those things. But it did feel like it was kind of combining both that and trying to tell a full narrative, and it got to that sort of Alice in Wonderland syndrome.
Well, here's
where
the
it's
other thing
like,
is, like,
we
you
can't end a
also-
kids movie without a giant battle for some reason.
You also had Bagheera like showing up, and like you had Jon Favreau setting it up. Then you had Bagheera setting it up with like the strangest tale of the jungle. And I was just like,
In
oh
all my
man, Ben
years.
Kingsley. Like even though Ben Kingsley is selling the shit out of it, and which
Yeah.
you can't. The nice thing about when Ben Kingsley pops up, even in bad movies, like you're like, oh my god, but Ben Kingsley will sell the shit out of whatever he is given. I don't give a fuck what it is.
He's the ultimate
buy
go-to
yourself.
get class
Okay.
for your movie.
Well,
guy.
I have to talk some positive stuff about this movie because I feel like we've been overly negative about what's a pretty decent film. Like it's not
Exactly. I
great.
mean, I don't think
But
Sean. I don't think anyone's saying it's
This
like
is
outright,
probably
out and
the face.
outright bad.
Yeah,
Like-
but like to go to the emotional connection point, I think one of the really great moments of the movie was when after Shere Khan kind of dispatches with the Kella, and Raksha like kind of confronts Mowgli and is like, I really don't want you to leave, but it's
Oh, the moment when Mowgli's like, I'm leaving, and she's like, you will always be my son. Yeah.
I thought that was beautifully done. I thought she had by far like the most kind of an emotional connection with him as a character.
Yeah.
And I
I
thought
agree.
if I kind of had that same feeling from both Baloo and Bagheera, it would have been a really strong film. But I thought that was like a particularly strong moment.
Yeah.
I didn't feel.
Can
I
we
didn't
please get
a scene
Lupita
feel it.
Nyong'o
And like more
live
shit.
action movies? Good lord, she's so
Please.
good, and she's been doing all these animated characters, and it's driving me nuts. I want to see her back on screen. She's so good.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I was more annoyed by the fact that you've got all these great names for characters in the film. You've got Baloo and Bagheera and Kaa and all these creative names. You know what they named that damn wolf pup? Gray.
Gray.
Original characters.
I had that exact
Gray.
thought.
That's
I'm so
all we
glad
could
you said
fucking
that.
come up with was Gray.
So I also wanted
That
like
whole character
was there just for
Scarlett
the feels,
Johansson's
too.
Kaa thing, 'cause I thought she did
All right,
really
Alright.
good.
one conversation at a time. Sean, you're up.
Oh.
Yeah. No, because she what I thought was great about her performance is that first off, the build up to the whole Kaa sequence was awesome. You kind of know that it's coming because it gets really dark, and then you can kind of see the outline of the snake in the trees, and it gets really menacing. But she does a very good job, I think, of kind of being, she like hypnotizes people with her eyes. She was very like kind of, I don't know,
Creepily motherly, I'd
creepily.
Are you going to say
Yeah.
sexy, Sean? Because it looks like you're about to say sexy.
Fear boners everywhere.
Well,
like I'm just saying.
I was going
like,
motherly, but okay.
Yeah, no, I
Because
think
like
that's
you're
more
afraid
reasonable.
because she's a snake, but then you're kind of like, oh my god, Scarlett Johansson is like making love to my ears.
Right.
Like halfway there, you're just like, oh my god.
I
It's a
could
problem when you
have
played
wanted
a
her
famous
to,
sexy OS.
I thought it was too short of a scene. Like I think they could have made way better
Oh, yeah.
use of
It
her.
was.
Yeah.
And I think I honestly would have like been okay with her if she would have like sung "Trusted Me," like just done the whole song, as a way to like kind of extend that scene. Because I thought not only is that one of my favorite scores from the original Jungle Book, but I thought it would have kind of made better use of her as a character.
All right.
We lost your sound there at the end, Sean.
Okay.
Well, Trust, your point was great.
So
I
moving
really
on
liked her
from the
singing over the
non-existent
song in
Sean
the ending.
point. I do want to say, like, I think the other issue is that I think the presence of Kaa in the original film helped to some extent because, like, there was a lot of humor that was derived. Like, Mowgli was never a source of humor in the original film. He's not a source of humor here. Kaa was, and that's the difference. Is that this movie needs an injection of like a little bit of like stupid snake slapstick. That just doesn't happen. And also,
Yeah,
like, that's
Shere
the thing,
Khan
is,
and
like,
Kaa not
all right,
meeting.
hold
So
on.
wait,
I'm finishing
I
a point
think-
here. Everyone needs to behave themselves better. That's everyone. I'm looking at you, specifically Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the point is like Shere Khan through the whole movie is kind of like this overarching like dangerous thing, and he is in the other one. But like that's the point is like you have kind of just the danger of the jungle that's represented by Kaa at like some points, adding slapstick, but also showing like a win. So when Shere Khan actually does show up, you're like, oh my god, this is terrifying in like the first movie. But like, and he's still terrifying here. But that's the thing is like this movie in terms of like grim dark is turned up to 11 the whole fucking time. It needs like this secondary stupid villain that everyone can deal with. He could kill Mowgli, but at the same time, like everyone else can deal with him pretty easily. And I think it's missing that slapstick bit.
Well, Kaa wasn't even the original like comedic bit from the original film. From what I got, it was a combination of Kaa and the vultures. and we completely left out
Oh,
the
yeah.
vultures.
I miss the vultures so much. I really
I
wanted,
really
you know,
did
the
too.
Beatles.
The Liverpool Vultures.
Yes.
Just,
The
I mean, they
voices.
were hilarious in the original, and they really were the lightened up bits. You know, when you're having Shere Khan like stalking Mowgli in the jungle before the fire hits, you have the vultures going, "What do you want to do? What do you want to do?" I mean, it's hilarious, and I really missed that from like the new film. They brought them in for like half a second. I thought maybe they'd have them talk. When Shere Khan is up on the rock with all the wolves and whatnot, but they never actually incorporated the vultures as a character, and I felt that was really missing from the film because that was part of what made the original lighthearted.
Well, and
Why the fuck
ironically,
did some of the animals talk and some of them not?
Right? That did not make sense in the film
That
at
bugged
all.
me.
Yeah, that's the
ironically,
goofy
I
Pluto
thought-
thing that Disney's never figured out.
Elephants
played
are
with
too
it.
majestic to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
they even attacked it head on with having Mowgli ask, like, "Do you have a language?" to one of the characters, and then it continued to speak nonsense. And then half the monkeys appeared to have no language, and then obviously Louie had a language. So it's just like, even within the film itself, it felt like they couldn't make up their mind whether animals can talk or animals can't talk.
No,
Do you
I mean the
speak
whole
jungle
movie played
common?
with its internal logic like consistently. Like it kept playing with like stuff that's like, you know, Ka has mind control powers and all this other stuff, or the red rose. Like it had the whole movie has a weird internal logic that's just like the whole internal logic is there to hold up what it thinks the series events, which is what happens when you make a movie and you have scenes in mind that should happen, but you're just stringing people along to get to those places. So
Yeah.
Right.
See, on the other hand, I do think you could argue that this movie still had more of a moral lesson than the 67 animated film, because they actually took the law of the jungle thing from the original books and like made a little story that seems to be, I guess, kind of about
what's the
like,
moral here? Communism? Like
No. Well, no, it's like his version of being a man, of like growing up into the thing that he wants to be, I guess. It's like his
No, I would-
version with
Stick
like his
together,
I
tricks
mean, I
and
think
protect
that's
who
the
you love,
issue.
going
Is that
back
it
to,
changes.
but-
It changes. The moral lesson is still in the original Jungle Book, but it just changed it here. It's like, whereas like you have like the original one is kind of more like you have to not be. You have to be with your people, but you have to be yourself, and you don't belong in the jungle. The moral here is that you can be yourself anywhere, no matter what.
The moral lesson
Well-
of the original Jungle Book throws bros before hoes to the wind.
Yeah.
He literally leaves his buddies, Bagheera and Baloo, for a
For a
chick.
girl.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Like,
Yeah,
that's
I
what I'm
always-
saying, man.
I saw
I don't
that
know what
somewhere. I
moral
was like,
lesson
I
the
forgot
original you're
Well,
talking about.
Okay, so let me talk about what I thought the moral of this one was real quick.
That's really what the movie was missing. It was missing
So-
titties. The whole
okay.
thing.
The
Would
moral
have been
of the-
better.
I thought
We saw
the
we
moral-
saw big monkey titties from Christopher Walken.
Those don't
The moral of the
That was
moral
like-
of the
that was like
story
a
from the
mono
original
tape.
film
That
that we
is
were
the
missing
quote
was
that I'm
was
gonna
like
take
was like
away.
what would happen if Simba what would happen like if Timon and Pumbaa like from Lion King like I can see what's happening if he had never come back to them.
Yeah.
Christopher
P.S.
Walken's
Speaking of
character
the
had-
Lion King, did anyone get Stampede flashbacks with the
Yeah,
water
yeah.
buffalo?
I
or
thought
whatever?
I thought that
I
Steve
leaned
was-
over to
I
my
thought
mom.
that
I was like,
Steve
"Hold
like a test
on,
footage.
Simba."
Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
I'm telling
here.
you, Lion King is
Let-
coming in 5 years. That was
Yeah.
test footage. I'm
This
telling you, man.
that's exactly what this movie is, and that is exactly why I would be excited for it. Because if Lion King is done in this style, that'll be a good movie because it's got a much better core premise, a much better core idea. It's essentially Hamlet.
It's
and
already
just
dark. It's
beautiful.
already a dark film. Yeah.
See, I'll
It's much
call
darker
bullshit
than
on that,
Jungle
though,
Yeah.
because the whole function of Lion King's plot hinges upon a misunderstanding. It's like not even conceivable. Like
It's like
everybody
half
believes
of
Scar for
Shakespeare
some
hinges
reason.
on
Like, it doesn't even make
misunderstanding,
sense.
Trevor. Like,
Yeah, that does include Othello, so I'll have to defend that.
not to
Right.
mention like Romeo and Juliet and like Trevor.
I just hope if they're going to continue to do more of these live action remakes of the Disney films, that they at least find a way to incorporate the music organically or leave it out altogether. Because what they did in this film
feel
is
that.
just unacceptable.
Did not work.
I mean, they
And
even
I
found
think
a way to incorporate it when they did Sleeping Beauty. I mean, they had the whole like Maleficent thing, and they found a way to like incorporate like the music into the score as opposed to like people randomly bursting into song, which was just uncomfortable. So if they're going to do a reboot like Lion King, either make the music a part of the score, make it organically fit into the film, or leave it the fuck out because it did not belong in the Jungle Book.
They
Yeah, and I
did it
think
a
that
little
there's,
bit in the
there's
Jungle Book in the score. I thought they tried. They definitely could have done it a lot better. I do appreciate that it was there a little bit. Like the opening was the same opening music. Yes,
The opening
good.
was
That
good.
was great. Part of me felt it was a little bit weird to have Trust in Me playing while Mowgli was carrying the fire back to the wolves and Shere Khan or whatever. That being said, because that reflects Scarlett Johansson's sort of flashback talking about the fire, it makes sense from that standpoint. But Ka was nowhere to be seen, but you're hearing Trust in Me. That was very weird for me.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Ben.
To go along with Bobby's point, I think having seen Cinderella, I think that's definitely something I'd like to see them do more of in that vein. Because what I liked about the Cinderella remake is they expanded things that the original did poorly. They cut out the mice, which are like my least favorite part of Cinderella, rewatching it, and don't really work in live action. They added more of why this evil stepmother is so cruel. She's not just a jerk. She has like an actual backstory. They give a little bit more to the prince. It's like they expand things and they kind of tell more of the story. Well, this did feel like a lot like, okay, let's just take the original movie, make it to live action, and I feel like that's where it gets frustrating for me, even though it is very impressive.
So kind of the way I would rebut that is I think that they did actually kind of make a better storyline than there was in the original, in the sense that you have this whole idea with the fire, right? And what kind of distinguishes humans from other people is that he has fire, he can like kind of work with his natural environment. And I thought they were kind of creating a theme there that was working well. I don't think they executed it well enough, but it was kind of an interesting kind of idea that they looked like they were trying to do something with.
I was getting Man of Steel flashbacks. It was all like, don't use your powers because it'll make you hated by everyone around you. Right. It was interesting.
Mm-hmm. I mean to some extent, but I liked how it made it like he's got his tricks and that like the monkeys couldn't do it, and I don't know. I thought that bit was kind of clever and like in terms of like making a more and like making sense of like the internalized universe. I liked how there's a lot of like things like I understand exactly where they're coming from, which is why I like don't hate this movie, because there's nothing wrong with it. Like I cannot figure, like, think about like if you go watch the original Jungle Book and then think about how the fuck you would adapt it. I'm just like there's not like a good answer. Like, this is the best answer for this movie, and I'm just like admitting that like up front. Like, if you're gonna adapt Jungle Book and we're gonna do this shit, like this is as good as this was gonna get.
That's
Points
true.
to you. I'm never gonna recommend anyone go see it.
I think it's the same with. I think it's the same with Disney, because I mean Andy Serkis is doing one in 2008, and I kind of trust him more with it than this.
What's he doing?
Andy Serkis is heading up his own Jungle Book 2 years from now.
Like,
Really?
I mean, I thought the best part was the technical elements. Did you disagree, Ben?
No, I love the technical elements, but I mean Andy Serkis is going to be more mocap, more dark, more like the book. I mean he's going to try and make it a little bit. Well, this kind of had to balance both. It had to be obviously nostalgic to the original, while being kind of trying to be its own movie, and that's where I think it kind of the problems came in. Whereas Serkis doesn't have to worry about it, especially now that the Jungle Book's a big box office success. He's going to try and get far away from the look and feel of this one as possible. So it'll be different, whether it's good or not. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I could use a more cartoony feel to this. Like, this was really like those animals were like really lovingly done, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my big question is why the Jungle Book was picked as the source material anyway. I mean, Disney's got tons and tons of films that they could bother to do live action with.
This is being thrown into the bus.
Maybe they were using it as practice.
Exactly.
For a line.
This was something they could throw under the bus.
Because fewer people have such a strong attachment to the original Jungle Book than they do to, say, The Lion King.
Well, I'm not even saying start with The Lion King. I'm saying start with something that's easier to practice with. I mean, I know that I would have gone to see a live-action version of The Sword and the Stone, or, I don't know, The Black Cauldron. There are other...
Well, both those movies were famously
The Black Cauldron would
Disney.
be great as live action. That'd be scary as fuck.
I'm thinking there's other animated films in the Disney repertoire that could have been better converted to this live action idea. So if they wanted to practice on something, there's easier and better plot-wise things to practice on.
I think there are better plot-wise things, but both
think
those films were notorious box office flops. So I think there is a sense of, like, this film is nostalgic for a lot of people, and it does kind of translate internationally, which is why I think they made it. But
no one makes a film just for footage tests. It's like no one makes a whole film. There is like a background reason that they thought they could make money off this, or at least break even. And I think that's the issue. Is like this one's really compared to Cinderella, and they're like Disney has this category of stuff, and like they are looking at like the Marvel models of like we have internal logic between multiple movies that we're running. It's a series, and like if you can build off a series, you get more consistent views. Like that's the thing is like, and now that's the issue that's running forward is now people are trying trying to work up things is like, well, we can do all these movies. We have these categories. We can put them together, and then there's a category of movie, and then we can push it out, and that way we can push more consistent profits. Like that's the whole
really
point that's happening
that
here.
much?
What's up?
You think Marvel's really changed the industry that much as like Disney is doing?
No,
that with
I
its
just
main
think I think it
properties?
changed. I think it changes. No, I think it changed how people reboot series and look about like combining series together. I do think this is having an effect, especially like before Disney would have not rebooted everything at once. Like we're getting a Cinderella, we got a Maleficent, we got all these older properties that are coming forward in live action versions. Like I think people are looking at this trying to think like, oh, we're gonna have. I don't think they're gonna combine anything. Like that's not the point. But they are looking at like having a series of movies and saying like every year we're going to make 60 million off one of these movies, and like it's going to keep the Disney it's also keeping this stuff alive for younger
brand
generations
itself. Yeah.
Exactly. Like who the hell wants, like, because Sleeping Beauty is not something like Maleficent was actually a stroke of genius in terms of keeping those properties alive, because like who the fuck shows people Sleeping Beauty anymore, because it's not really a good thing for young girls. Like it's just not. And that's the thing, and like Snow White and all this stuff, and it's just kind of like, well, we got Snow White and the Huntsman. I don't know why the fuck that happened.
I don't know what that is.
That was a Disney. That was
Well, I mean, I don't think you can argue that it wasn't a successful reboot. I mean, it made $103 million over a weekend, and
As of right now, yep.
no, it's successful, definitely.
and
No.
they're
I'm not
already
disagreeing.
gonna
It's
do-
unsuccessful. I'm saying
They're going to do a second. They're already
Success
saying-
doesn't make it good.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying. I'm just
wasn't
saying they're
bad,
putting these
though.
out here in such a way that, like, I know. I'm saying they're putting these out here in such a way as to serve different purposes than what we traditionally think of movies. They're allowed. They're not testing the waters so much as saying like, what's going to be our Iron Man for this series that gets people into these theaters and consistently coming back for the same movie series as it goes over a certain like yearly time span.
No, especially the fact they've already confirmed a sequel kind of shows
right,
like
the sequel, yeah.
this is different, you know.
Yeah,
They're trying for
exactly.
something different.
Like they want a yearly series is like I think that's the thing is like I think what like Marvel isn't happening that everyone's saying we want. It's not that they want like a Marvel Cinematic Universe. They want yearly series. Is like that we get like one movie out of a company every year. It's a great way. You keep all the same guys together, same production teams. It's like a really great money saving way of doing the movie business. And that's the thing is that they really want to build this essentially this team that's going to continue to put out classic Disney movies and run in a yearly cycle like that.
Yeah. And I
That's a
actually
theory.
have,
That I have no evidence to back that up other than what I think.
No, I think that's true, and I actually have more hope for the sequel because they're not gonna have their hands tied so much by the original Jungle Book, and will hopefully actually have like an actual story that's a little bit more cohesive that they can work with. So I'll probably go sing Jungle Book 2.
Wait. I did not know about that. They confirmed a second one?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've already confirmed a second one.
Already?
God.
Yeah.
Well, it made a ton of money, man.
Came
What are
out
you gonna
theaters.
do?
I find that to be just incredibly disappointing. I really, really do. Because, I mean, the fact that people are only going to see movies based off of basically nostalgia now and nothing better. I mean, I am so tired of the 50,000th reboot of X, Y, and Z. I'm not interested. I don't care about any of it. I'll be the first to say, I don't give a shit about any of these superhero movies that are coming out. Don't give a shit.
Chill your dick,
Totally
Totally
Bobbye. Chill your
uninterested.
dick.
Don't give a
Rub
shit
it
about
out.
the
Put your hands
1000th
on it.
Disney reboot. Don't
Get
give a
some
shit about
Vaseline.
the rebooted television
Just rub
series.
that.
Don't care about Fuller House. Don't care about like all this other bullshit.
Get
Why
that?
can't we create
Boom.
one original thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Bobby,
Go
guess
through
who
it.
disagrees with you?
Woo.
Like the
Good rant,
market,
good rant.
they're making a
Oh
ton
my
of money.
god.
Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I'm probably way smarter than the average person watching these things. And I'm sick of it. I'm over it.
Shots fired!
Fight me on Twitter. I don't care.
Bobbye came to play today.
Shots fired!
I mean, if
Bobbye,
y'all
we should just
seriously
show
want to have
Midnight.
that
We should watch
conversation-
Midnight Special to give Bobby a break or something.
We
should
should-
see
I do
something
think
different for
I do think we
Bobby.
need to look at some more. I think we'll talk about this later. I do think, and we're gonna have Zootopia next week, which is actually pretty good.
It's very different.
I do think we need to get outside of some mainstream stuff and start.
Yeah,
taking in
you
some
people
more
are
indie
killing me.
movie
I don't
material.
want to do this anymore.
Well, we
because
did
I'm tired of seeing
Hardcore
the same
Henry.
movie
That's
for the
indie. You
50,000th
didn't
time.
show up
Okay.
for that one.
In Jack's
It
defense,
gets people listening, Bobby.
in Jack's
Listeners.
defense,
You're
he
drinking,
did a
calm
Hardcore
down.
Henry last week, which is pretty outside the mainstream.
Does that
Right?
sound like something I want to go see?
What?
At all?
Okay.
Take
What-
your
what else
sass
is-
back,
not much
because the
out.
salt.
Bobby,
will
you're
fly.
always free to pick a movie, and
Bobby
I'll
does
at least
not
watch it
wide
for
back
sure.
the sass.
This is fantastic.
I really didn't
That's
like
the
it,
noise
guys.
of the
Okay, I'm
sass
cranky.
being
I'm
loud.
sorry.
Bobbye, you're always free to come up with
Moving
your own
on.
film. We'll definitely come on to yours.
Hey guys, we have Incredibles 2 to look forward to. Can I just throw that out there? They're still going to give us that. So.
Finding
Yeah.
Oh, and
Dory.
Finding
I have
Nemo
no
too.
faith.
Bring it on. Let's do the
Guys,
1,000 thing.
This is not good. Like, this is... I'm sorry. Pixar does not inspire any faith in me anymore. And
No.
Even
just
after Inside Out.
have you seen The Good Dinosaur, guys?
It was
Good
pretty
God.
no.
Good
No.
God.
I know.
I felt
never
like they were
bothered.
doing test footage for Jungle Book because all the background stuff was so impressive, and I was like, did they share studios with Jungle Book because all the
Yeah.
backgrounds look very similar. I was wondering because that's the only reason Good Dinosaur felt like it existed was those amazing background visuals.
Well, I think that's the thing is you got a lot. There's clearly a lot more talent sharing happening between Pixar and at Disney Studios, and I see talent pouring into this mold material, and Disney is I think pulling talent out of Pixar and pushing it other places, and
Yeah.
that's why we ended up with the good Frozen. And I think that's the thing is it's hard to predict out of these studios what's going to be good anymore, and what's going to be things like Zootopia. I was like, I don't think this is going to be good, and then it blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true.
Like from both
Which
a
we'll get to
technical
next week.
perspective and a good story perspective, and I think that's why I was just like, and now I see the Pixar stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know where I feel because you look, I can't, I've never done it like a thing in terms of looking at who from Pixar was pulled off what production and put somewhere else, or if that happened, but I do feel like there's this cross-pollination thing that Disney's trying to do, and I do feel like it killed the last couple Pixar products, and so that I'm really afraid here, especially for Incredibles and Nemo and the classic stuff that they did. Oh god, that came out in my lifetime. It's not classics.
It is.
classics for us.
It
It's
is.
just that technical prowess doesn't make a good movie, and I feel like a
No,
lot of the
I
things
mean,
that
technical-
this podcast has
Okay.
reviewed and B that have come out lately are flying pretty much simply on the fact that they look really, really good, but there's
No,
no
okay.
substance.
Bobbye, I disagree because I'm just saying I don't mean technical prowess. The Good Dinosaurs animation is great. I mean from a concept story concept wise. The story sucks and the character design sucks because they're well animated. There's no denying that.
Well,
and,
that's
and
exactly
let's be
my
honest,
point. It's it can look really, really good, but it can still be absolute shit.
And let's be honest, Inside Out was great. So I just
It
feel
was.
we're at a hit. Pixar is becoming more of a hit or miss type of thing. It's not I went and saw Monsters University because I had faith in Pixar. I was like, oh, okay, we're doing a sequel to this shit, but I'll go see it. Your Cars series sucks, but that's your money thing. And we had these things that we said it for, and I would just wind up and go see whatever Pixar series was on screen. I always did it, and I just won't do that anymore.
Right. Well,
I still will, but I mean,
I'm gonna see it anyways because I see all movies.
and that's the
but,
problem with
such a point.
nostalgia, isn't it? You end up seeing it even if you don't want to.
Yes.
I felt like with Jurassic World, I had zero interest to see it, and somehow it ended up opening weekend. I don't know how. I was just there. All of a
Jurassic
sudden-
World was a phenomenon. You had to see it. There's
Yeah, it's
certain
just you
movies
had to
like
see
that.
it. I don't know why. There's no good reason.
oh, I didn't. See it.
Jurassic World is definitely for me the worst movie that made a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of problems.
All right. Well, we're at 42 minutes. We're going to try to keep this a little bit shorter today. So let's go ahead and move on to bets for next week, and then we'll go over. Let's do scores first. All right. This is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to have to do some math for it. So first up, we're going to have Sean. What's your score for the Jungle Book? And you get 30 seconds to justify.
I'm gonna give it I'll give it a 7.5. I thought it was a good reboot. I thought it improved on the original significantly in terms of just the cohesiveness of the story. I thought we had really good voice actors. I enjoyed Idris Elba as Shere Khan. I actually really enjoyed the child actor. I thought he did a really good job as Mowgli. Overall, the story could have been better, but it was well animated. I mean, it was a decent film. 7.5.
Poor Sean. You're such a We'll love your point will be great when we finally hear the podcast, Sean. But all we got was
We have no idea what Sean said on this whole podcast. And then it was we listened back and was like, oh man, he had some good points. It sucks that we didn't know what the fuck he was saying.
The internet is just not agreeing with you, Sean. I am so sorry.
Yeah, it's fuck you, Sean. You don't get to talk today. Sarah, you're up.
Okay, I will give it a 6 out of 10. I was impressed with how they redid the storyline. I thought it was still very compelling. Problematic as it was more compelling, or I guess more strung together than the original was. We didn't talk about this during the podcast, but I really liked the little boy who played Mowgli, who I guess was essentially acting by himself the whole time. I thought he did a pretty good job for a 12-year-old. Obviously the visuals were quite stunning, so it gets a lot of points for that. So, yeah, 6 out of 10. Could have been better, but didn't suck. So a positive meh.
Trevor, you're up.
I'm actually going to give it a 6 as well. I guess I'll give it credit for trying, it looked like, to do something a little more ambitious than the original 67 animated one we all know and love. But at the same time, yeah, just not going really all the way with it and trying to compromise a little too much to where it didn't make too much of a point either. So 6 out of 10.
All right, Bobbye.
I'm going to give it a 5. I had a lot of issues with when the plot would pull me right out of the story. I thought that the musical breaks were disjointed and had no place in the film. I thought that though it was technically proficient, the plot was hollow, and that it managed to remove all of the warm, fuzzy qualities of the original, leaving me with a film that I did not enjoy watching and kept checking my watch, waiting for me to be able to go home. So, 5.
Ben.
I was coming in with a 7, but I think after talking to everybody and thinking about how little I could remember of the film today, about a 6 as well. It's a very technically amazing film. As I said, it's 10 out of 10 technically wise, but as Bobbye said, those are getting kind of tiresome, and that's a problem. It's just a film I found just kind of okay. It's a film I'm not going to really remember. I'm never going to really want to watch again. But again, a film I told a friend of mine, hey, go see it, because it's very impressive to watch in the theater, but that's the problem. It's a lot of these films are coming out and they're just all right, and it's a decent film. It's got okay voice acting. It's sometimes great voice acting. It's got amazing visuals, but overall, it's fine. It's a 6.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree with Bobbye on this one. This is ultimately a very meh movie for me, and so I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. I think the thing that happens is, for me, like, this movie feels like a movie made by committee sometimes, and I think that's the issue for me. It feels like it's the one time the committee made, like, a very, very good committee, a very, very good, well, not a good committee, but a committee made a very, very good movie, but, like, there's still that disjointedness to it that makes it, not unpleasant, but just like it doesn't feel like there's a deeper artistic feeling to it. It doesn't inspire feelings in me. It doesn't make me have a very good movie going experience, and ultimately it's not something that I would recommend to people. But here's the thing, I wouldn't have a reason as to why not to recommend it. It's just, it's meh, and 5 is, for me, I guess, the ultimate meh score. There's nothing bad about it. It doesn't go towards Hardcore Henry, and I might be changing certain review scores later in the week, so hopefully that'll happen. We'll talk about that later. But ultimately, I'm going to give this a 5, and with that, we're going to go with Sean as a 7.5, Sarah's a 6, Trevor's a 6, Bobbie's a 5.
You forgot Peter!
The black guy again.
God damn it, Jack!
Twice in the same podcast!
I'm not racist, I swear. I'm sorry, Peter. Your thing, his box... Your box is clicked in such a way that I have my screens over your face, so I see everyone's at the bottom.
That is so funny.
Justify it after the fact. That's fine.
Oh my god!
Oh,
Fuck
wow,
you
okay.
guys.
Peter, tell us what you thought.
What did you think, Peter?
I'm much like Ben. I was gonna give it a 7 after walking out of the theater. I enjoyed it. It wasn't amazing to me, but after talking about it today and going through it, yeah, I have to agree. I'm gonna give it a 6. I guess I enjoyed the movie while I was in it, but walking out, it's okay, my level of impression kind of went down from yesterday afternoon to today. Yes, the voice acting was great, as we've all said. Yes, the visuals were great, as we've all said. But it just wasn't there for me. I mean, and when you have a film that from the original was supposed to be all warm and fuzzy, and the only time that I legitimately teared up was when Raksha was saying goodbye to Mowgli. That it seems a bit lacking to me. So 6.
Okay, sorry, I had to change the math a bit. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, Peter.
Jack's an asshole.
I mean, I am, but usually, like, I have a reason to, like, be mean to people, like Ben. Like, this is just,
Or Sean,
this is
who
pure
you
stupidity.
apparently just hate.
I don't hate Sean. I just like saying "fuck you, Sean."
Where's my "fuck you, Sean" shirt? I'm waiting for it.
I know.
Right?
Okay,
I'm really excited.
shirts are expensive, and I'm spending it more on Facebook and Reddit advertising right now. So shut up.
Fuck you all.
All right. So with that, the score comes out to 5.928, which rounds up to a solid 6 for Jungle Book, which is way the fuck lower than I thought we would be.
Yeah, it's funny that Sean, before we're recording, was like, guys, this is going to be so highly rated, and he gave the highest rating of all of us.
Team Negative. Woo!
It's highly rated on
Well,
Rotten Tomatoes, just not here.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I feel like we did like the course of this conversation. Like we talked to a lot of people because you start thinking about the movie and you're like, I didn't really care for it. Like that's it's,
Yeah.
the more I think about it, the more I'm like, wow, that wasn't.
I didn't
that
like
was,
it. I saw
yeah,
it
I
like
didn't.
2 hours ago. I didn't like it.
Like I'm slowly like I think by tomorrow I'm like gonna remember nothing about it.
No, it's
I
not
am
memorable.
right there with you.
I
Yeah, it
think
was a good
that's
thing we
and I
got
think
the
that's a
podcast
sign of a
going
bad
now.
movie.
Tomorrow I'm going to remember the moments that I saw in the commercials, and that's about it.
I'm just like in like a day or two I'm gonna see a commercial for it. It's like, oh yeah, that was a thing.
Like,
Did
oh,
I
that
see
happened.
that?
I'm gonna remember seeing
We did a whole
Shere
podcast
Khan's face,
about it.
and I remember seeing Shere Khan's face in 3D and going, "That's really well animated." Like, that's what I'm gonna remember.
Pushing it forward by a step. All right,
Yeah.
we're getting on to bets for this week.
Wait,
So
what did the movie? Oh, we gave it a 6. Just kidding. I forgot that
Yeah.
part. I'm leaving.
You're good.
See, there you
See?
go.
Already
So there you
forgot.
go.
I already
Tomorrow-
forgot what we
about
gave
it.
it.
It's
We're gonna-
What are
starting.
we
This is
doing?
gonna
Who are
be-
you people?
This is going to be the movie that we forgot we did a podcast about. Like
Apparently
we're going to
we
be
all
looking
have
like,
Alzheimer's
did
now.
we actually see and review Jungle Book? Like who in the fuck
It's also
did that
gonna get like the
happen?
most
episode
negative
was that?
reviews,
What's wrong
probably.
with
You know.
us?
Yeah, this is the most negative review I've seen of Jungle Book on the internet. Like it has a 95 on Rotten Tomatoes. We are the only negative critics. And
Yeah,
we're
and I
not
went
even
through
negative. We gave it a
Reddit's, like,
6. So technically
Yeah, I
it's a
went
go
through Reddit's
see.
official discussion. Yeah, they're not gonna love us.
All right. So, and for next week, we're taking a look. We're gonna get off Rotten Tomatoes this week, and we're gonna go look. We're gonna go over to Facebook, where we have our official The Movie Gang podcast page. As of this moment, we have 35 likes on that page. That is pathetic. We are pathetic. We feel pathetic, and it makes us want to quit this podcast and just go cry in a corner and die. Please, listener, don't make us pathetic. Go over to Facebook and like our page. Because this week, we will be doing a bet about how many likes will be on our page by next week. Now, for reference, this week I had a Facebook ad running for our page for just that. And we got 20 likes off that page, which we've got. Okay, so here, let me look at the numbers. Over the course of that last week, we had 997 people reached, and we got 20 likes, which is actually pretty good for a Facebook ad. With that in mind, I'm going to be running a Facebook and a Reddit ad this week. And by next weekend, how many likes will our Facebook page have? First up.
Does anyone jump in?
First up. I'll pick him. First up, because he's always first in my heart. Peter.
Oh my god, you're such a bitch.
Mega bitch!
Affirmative action. All right.
Oh, fuck you.
Wow. Let's say 47.
47 likes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Next up, after that, we have Sean.
65.
65 likes. Okay, after that, Sarah.
I'm going to be incredibly optimistic and say 80.
Please tell me that's not incredibly optimistic. 80 likes.
Let's do it.
Well, compared to the last two.
Trevor.
How many do we have now?
What do you mean?
How many likes do we have now?
35.
35
35.
likes.
40.
Oh,
40 for Trevor.
oh
Fuck you,
no.
Trevor.
Damn.
Poor
You
Jack.
suck,
Jack's
Trevor.
like he's hurting right now. You can see it in his eyes.
And Bobbye.
I'm going to say 50 because I don't trust other humans at all.
That's fair.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Yeah, Sean.
God.
Ben, you're up.
34. You're gonna lose the leg.
Wow.
Wow.
No.
After this podcast, we're gonna have one person who's just really turned off. They're like, you know
Yeah,
what, fuck
exactly.
these guys, I'm leaving.
And all the
These
Jungle
bitches,
Book
they
people are gonna
hated the
leave.
Jungle Book. I'm out.
This was my life.
No. I'll say 55. If that number doesn't take. I'll be positive.
I like
Yeah,
how I'm most, optimistic about Jack's abilities here. It's not usually the case.
I don't.
It's
I have faith in you, Jack.
It's not a personal reflection of Jack's abilities.
Yeah, this is
It's
not.
not.
about
It's
our
like
trust
my
in
ability
Jack.
to make
It's about
ads.
trusting
Like,
people.
fuck you.
I have
And I
no
already
trust
told
in
you where I'm
Jack. I
putting
don't trust everyone
ads.
else.
I'm putting ads in 2 places, so we're testing the ability of Reddit, which I'm probably doing ads on the wrong fucking site, to be totally
Okay, well,
honest.
let's just
Can
go
you
to Reddit
choose-
and tell them that it's not possible that it can be done, and all of a sudden they'll get their little army together and.
It's not.
Man,
Not
can
how the
someone
internet
get this
happens.
on Tumblr? Because Tumblr people are, powerful.
Oh my God, Sarah, you're such a lesbian.
Wow.
Not to
Jack,
be-
are you doing
Just
the Reddit?
because the Klexa fandom carried me for a month, okay?
But,
not-
but to speak to that, remember what happened to Stonewall last year?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Sure.
basically because of Tumblr.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a Tumblr
Jack,
page.
are you doing
I'm
the
just
Reddit?
rolling his eye.
Oh my God, I hate you all. You
Just
made
answer
me
the
join
question.
Tumblr.
Are you doing
Well, I just
the
meant
Reddit ads
if
with the
anyone had
comments
like
or
a
not?
pre-existing Tumblr, could y'all do it, or do I need to
All
finally
right, here's
bite
what
the
I will
bullet
say.
and make
Here's
one?
what I will say. I'm gonna try to do my best this week to get as many likes as physically possible. And that's not to say anything bad about the show. Like, I just gonna put several ads. I'm not doing anything in terms of trying to put anything out. I would ask you guys to probably go ahead and just put like you can go to that page and invite everyone on your Facebook groups to like it.
Fair.
Okay.
But
Would
I
everyone
might
be
lose
willing
the
to do that?
bet.
Oh my
You're
God,
encouraging
Bobbye.
us to be dicks.
Oh my God.
I'm not encouraging you to be dicks. I don't think we're gonna get that many. If all of you guys go and do that, and then we put out 2 ads, I don't think my bet's gonna be lower than yours.
You guys
Jack,
should
how,
have-
how many
you should-
how many people do you think are going to like our page? You're the one doing all the legwork. Where's your bet?
85.
All right.
See,
Damn.
you
They
should
just
have
put
just
it
had
over
more
Sean.
optimistic
No,
bets,
who is it?
man.
No, I put it over Sarah, who is up top at 80.
Now it's in Jack's best interest for us to invite all our Facebook friends.
Well, I was always gonna do the top end bet because like I'm gonna do my best here, and that's the thing. It's like I like to count on myself because I have confidence, Bobbye.
We
I'm an
believe in you,
empowered
but
man.
my rant really hopes that you're wrong so I can win one of these.
Jack has confidence in sunshine.
All right. So that's the bet for this week. I have no idea where the fuck that's going to go. Anyways, we didn't have any idea where the fuck the bet was going to go last week, but I believe, if I'm correct, that Ben had the top end vote with Peter sorry, now all I can think about is Peter that I've missed about.
Me and
Love you too.
In
I
fairness,
can
I
think
am
about
hosting
Peter
a
over that.
podcast with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with 7 fucking people. Do you know how hard this is? You're all a bunch of
We
little
love you,
monsters that just
Jack.
want to take over.
Tasha Robinson from
Fucking
Dissolve
monsters.
Tasha Robinson from the Dissolve was very impressed, Jack. So you have that for you.
I
You've
do.
got a
I
very
know. I
famous
have that
critic.
moment. Oh my god.
You have a very famous critic like, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you people?
Yeah, I saw that. He's like, it's never gonna work, and I'm like, all right. Anyways, let's not talk about my personal pain, which
Our
is my
friend group's just too damn big.
Last week we bet what would be the early critics review score of Captain America: Civil War. Ben, are you under embargo?
No, I'm not.
So you can say whatever the fuck you want about Civil War, right?
I can.
All right. Well, I'm gonna
Just
get you
quickly
to
say
fuck.
whatever fuck I want.
Well, I might ask you to record like a little free spoiler thing later, but
Sure.
I'm not gonna do it right now because I actually do want to be surprised, so I'm gonna probably avoid spoiler content for right now. But for right now, I think that you said that you voted it very, very highly, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I would personally say it's better than. I think it's better than the Avengers 1 and 2, and I think a lot of critics will probably think it's at least on par with Winter Soldier, which they all really loved, and as well as the really original Avengers movies. I think they'll really like. Yeah, Sean, yeah, wag your head. Critics liked it, Sean, just because you did. So I think it'll be really highly rated, which is I thought that before I saw it when I rated it, but after seeing it, I think it's probably going to stay in
All
the
right.
90s or high 80s. You know.
So the thing we didn't do this week is that Trevor and Ben had the exact same bet, and they both won this week, almost exactly on, I think.
Yeah, both 93.
So, unfortunately, we have to do a tiebreaker.
There can only be one.
So,
I got you guys.
That was beautiful.
for the tiebreaker, I have...
Clicking.
I'm just going to flip a coin.
You know, if
Not even trivia or nothing.
if it's
This
for the
is a
last
very
word
professional
today,
podcast.
I'll just forfeit it. I don't really have anything else to say about Jungle Book, really.
Then fuck you, Trevor.
Yeah.
Ben, go.
I didn't have anything to say about Jungle Book either, dude.
It's not worth it.
You don't even have to talk about Jungle Book. I mean, last week I talked
All
about
right.
Carly Rae Jepsen.
I was going to
I
talk
know.
about People versus O.J. Simpson.
Can both Trevor and Ben, can you see my video feed, correct?
Oh,
I
Lord.
can.
I want you to guess how many coins are in this jar.
Oh my god.
Hold it still. Hold it still. Hold it still. All right. 15.
Trevor.
16.
Are you dick?
But the price is right.
Alrighty.
Are you about to
too
count them
low.
out right now?
2, 3,
We're
Oh
a
my
professional
God.
podcast. We plan things out in
6,
advance.
7, 8,
All right, we're about to reach the hour mark.
9, 10, 11.
This was clearly the plan in case we
12,
ever had a
13,
tiebreaker.
14, 15,
Bobbie, quick, talk about Mad Max. Go, quick. Oh, you lost me.
You guys could
Trevor
cede your
wins.
time to me.
Trevor wins at 16.
I don't
Go,
want to win.
Trevor,
I don't
30
say.
seconds. Close the podcast out. Let's get this fucking shit done so I can go home. It's a long weekend. Go, Trevor.
All right, Jungle Book was a big pile of meh. We've all pretty much agreed. We'll be reviewing Zootopia next week, in which gushing praise will all just exude from our pores.
Even when you're positive, you suck.
Shut up, Jack. Let him speak.
Sorry. Go,
My
Trevor.
last word, damn it. All right, guys, tune in next week for Zootopia. That's it. We're out. Thanks for listening.
Mine would have been better.
Oh my God.
I said
Trevor, stop winning.
I'm Trevor.
All right.
Tune in next
You could have
week.
at least told Jack to go fuck himself.
Jack, go
I know,
fuck
right?
yourself.
Someone needs to.
Oh, man.